This is Mr. Lila Bubba, and welcome to another installment of Pokemon Competitive Bios. This week's Pokemon is Charizard. Charizard, introduced in Generation 1, is a combination Fire and Flying type, and is currently in the NU tier. Now in this video, I'm going to be giving letter grades to the stats, move pool, abilities, typing, and counters against Charizard, and then at the end of the video, giving it an overall grade for its usability, as well as suggesting a move set that you could use with this Pokemon to be successful in competitive play. Now, starting off with Charizard's typing. As you'll take a look at Charizard's stats, it has an HP stat of 78, an attack stat of 84, a defense stat of 78, a special attack stat of 109, its special defense is 85, and its speed is 100, obviously giving it the stats of a special sweeper or possibly a mixed sweeper, with that attack being barely passable. Now the grade that I chose to give was a B+. This is mainly due to its capability, of course, with special sweeping from its special attack and speed stat, but the reason it didn't get a really stellar grade is because it doesn't really have much to back those up, so it is kind of trapped. But the good thing is, it has really well-balanced stats. In general, its defenses are decent, and its HP is really decent as well. So it does have really well-balanced stats, though they're not the best. They are passable. So on to Charizard's move pool. For Charizard, I chose to give it an A+. Now, of course, this is a very, very high grade for a Pokemon in NU, but there's a reason for this. Charizard has a very diverse move pool. The only types of moves that it cannot learn are Ice and Bug. So it can learn a lot of different moves. I mean, it gets stabbed from Fire Blast and Flamethrower, as well as Acrobatics, and it can cover weaknesses with things like Solar Beam, Earthquake, and even Focus Blast. It can even learn strong Dragon-type moves like Outrage and Dragon Pulse, and setup moves like Belly Drum and Dragon Dance. So this thing has an extremely diverse move pool, very, very helpful move pool, and that is one of the biggest pluses when it comes to Charizard, is its move pool. And that's why I chose to give its move pool an A+. Now on to Charizard's abilities. When it comes to Charizard's abilities, I chose to give it a B. Of course, it has two abilities, those two being Solar Power and Blaze. I'll begin by talking about Blaze. Blaze is very hard to use, and honestly, it's not very good. What it does is it raises the Pokemon's Fire-type moves when it is below 1/3 of its total health. But Charizard is a rather frail Pokemon, so having it down in that range is going to be very, very bad for you in the first place. So unless you're able to outspeed a mass majority of your opponents, it's going to be very, very hard to actually use that, and being able to take a hit that would leave you in that range without knocking you out, because Charizard, again, is very frail. It does have passable defenses when it's compared to the rest of its stats, but in general, its defenses are not very good. Solar Power, its second ability, is definitely a lot more usable. It is the one that is typically used on Charizard, and what that does is it raises special type attacks used from the Pokemon that has it, but takes away 1/8 of their total HP in between each turn. So this is going to mean that if you have something like Sunny Day or a Pokemon with Drought and a Charizard in, it's going to get boosted special attack from the sun, and you'll see later on in the video how that can really come into play with Charizard. Solar Power is a very, very good ability to run on a Charizard, and that is definitely the thing that it saves its ability grade. And that is why I chose to give Charizard a B. When it comes to typing, Charizard is a little bit below average. It is 4 times weak to Rock, and what that means is that it loses half of its health when it switches into Stealth Rock, so having a Rapid Spinner on your team when you're using a Charizard is very, very crucial. But because it is half flying, it does have an immunity to ground, which is very good. Very good to have. But again, against Stealth Rocks, it has a very bad typing, and that's why it gets sort of I'd say it doesn't get a below average grade, but it does sort of have a below average typing. But because of the fact that it gets even more boost from its ability in solar power in the sun. That was one of the things that really helped buff this typing grade for Charizard. That is why I chose to give Charizard's typing a B-. Now, moving on to counters. Charizard has a lot of counters, I must say, in NU. Now, beginning talking about these, first of all, Stealth Rocks hinder Charizard a lot. A lot. They really screw up Charizard, because it does, when it switches in, it does lose 50% of its total health. Rock types in general, such as Regirock, can really harm Charizard, of course, because Regirock can resist both of its stab moves and hit it with very powerful rock type moves that would possibly one-hit KO it. Flareon with Flash Fire would easily be able to take out a Charizard, or at least check it, because of the fact that it is immune to its Fire-type stab, which you would typically see when Charizard is in the sun. Zebstrika and Electrode naturally outspeed and can hit with super effective moves, super effective electric moves. Samurott and Caracosta can use priority moves such as Aqua Jet. They wouldn't naturally be faster, but because of the fact that they can get Aqua Jet, they can definitely be a counter to Charizard. So a lot of counters, and they can really screw this thing up, and that is why Charizard gets a C, which is not really a great grade when it comes to counters. Now that I've looked at all this, it is time to give Charizard an overall grade. And the grade that I chose to give Charizard was an A-. This doesn't really match up with the rest of its stats unless you factor in its move pool, but it does get one big boost that I haven't talked about yet in this video, and that is the fact that the NU metagame is ruled by physical attack and physical defense. It is a very physically based metagame, and Charizard, being the special sweeper that it is if you run certain sets on it, gives it a big boost because of that. It also has well-balanced stats. It has a great move pool. Its abilities are usable. Blaze not so much, but Solar Power is definitely usable. Its typing is kind of below average, and it has lots of counters, but again, that big plus with the physically based metagame that it's in. So if you use it in NU, you can be a lot more of a threat than trying to use it up in higher tiers. But factoring all of that in, I have chosen to give Charizard a usability grade of an A-. This is the part of the video that I like to call Mr. Lalababa Suggests. This is where I suggest a set that you could run on the Pokemon featured in the video to be successful in competitive play. This feature, of course, is Charizard. Now, I'm going to be showing you the Choice Specs Solar Power set of Charizard. This is a rather typical set, I would say, but the thing is, it is very powerful. It has the capability of one-hitting Pokemon like Metagross and even Dragonite that resists its stab move of Fire Blast. So here I'm going to run over the EVs first. The EVs I would put on this Charizard would be 252 into Special Attack, 252 also into Speed, and then the extra 4 remaining. You can either put them into HP or into Special Defense. I chose to put them into HP. For the ability, Solar Power is crucial. Now, of course, this means that you have to have the sun out. Whether that means you have another Pokemon with the move Sunny Day, or you have a Pokemon with the ability Drought also on your team, you just have to do what you have to do to get the sun out before sending in this Charizard, because it's absolutely crucial for it to do the most amount of damage possible to Specially Sweep. The item I chose was the Choice Specs. Now, this is going to lock you into one move, but it's going to up the power of your special moves, which is going to help you out a lot, of course, because Fire Blast is going to do a lot of damage. I'm going to be completely honest, almost all 3 of the rest of those moves are just spot fillers. When it comes to the nature for this Charizard, I would go with a Timid nature. That is going to raise its speed and lower its attack. It's not going to need that attack stat whatsoever because it's going to be doing special sweeping, and that extra speed is going to help it outspeed even more things than it already would, being a Charizard, which is a rather fast Pokemon. Now, here's how it all pieces together with the moveset. Fire Blast is going to do a lot of damage, just a ton of damage. It's going to get stab, it's also going to be increased in power because the sun will be out. You're also going to get increased power from your ability Solar Power, and the item bonus from the choice specs is going to up the power of that Fire Blast. So just overall, a very, very, very powerful Fire Blast. The rest of these are sort of just fillers. Solar Beam is going to help you cover weaknesses, and you're also going to be able to use it right away if you do choose to lock yourself into that because of the sun being out. HP Ice is going to deal with dragon types who would resist, but again, Fire Blast is going to do a ton of damage to those dragon types, even if they do resist. And you can even check on most damage calcs. You can almost, I mean, if you get max damage or anything more than min damage, really, you can one-hit a Dragonite. I mean, with Fire Blast. So Fire Blast, I mean, this is an NU Pokemon, and it can do a ton of damage in OU if you use it correctly. And Air Slash, probably the most filler sort of move, just being a special move that also has stab, is going to help you out. And that's really all you need to know about this set. I mean, you just switch this thing in while the sun is up and make sure that there are no stealth rocks up, and you can just Fire Blast everything. I mean, resistances, they almost don't even matter. I mean, Fire Blast is just going to do a ton of damage, and you also have other moves in case Fire Blast is not viable at the time. So that is going to be it for that suggestion. That's also going to be it for this episode of Pokemon Competitive Bios. Thank you guys for watching, and remember, if you have a suggestion for the series or a Pokemon that you would like to see featured in a video, feel free to leave it in the comments below, and also like this video, and subscribe to my channel if you want to see more videos like it. Thank you guys for watching once again, and have a wonderful day.